let's get this thing started. I'm Tony Holler along with Chris Corfist, and I believe this is our fifth podcast, fourth or fifth, I can't remember. We have J.T. Ayers tonight. And J.T., tell everybody something about yourself to start off here.
Okay, my name is J.T. and I live in Southern California, which is fun because it seems like most of you are inside wearing Long John underwear and it's cold and not where I'm at. So that's something interesting that it's kind of nice out here.
68 degrees today, right?
Hey, you know what? We do have our lake effect where Mission Viejo Lake comes over and gets us that breezy 68. Yeah, so not too bad for us right now.
Yeah, I saw a guy golfing today and it was 31 degrees. So, you know,
No.
it's a weird world.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to go through how we know each other, first of all. It's a cool story because 12 years ago, I went to the Championship Productions Clinic, the Iowa State Clinic. I think it's about 12 years ago in Ames, Iowa. And I saw Brian Fitzgerald speak 3 times. And I was just blown away. The guy is just so smart and he made sense and he confirmed several things I really believed, and we stayed in touch a little bit for the next couple of weeks, like asking questions and things. And he is from Rio Mesa, California. And so I kind of lost track of him for the next 8 years. And I went out to speak in Orange County at a Glacier clinic. And Glacier pays so horribly that I had to speak 8 times, 8 separate topics, 8 times, getting $50 a piece just to cover most of my airfare. And so I didn't even check. I knew I couldn't see anybody speak. So I didn't even check who else was speaking. Well, Brian was speaking there too. And he actually showed up from my first presentation. And so I was almost frozen, If you see somebody of that stature in one of your sessions. And so we talked and everything. And then we actually had him out for TFC. Matter of fact, Chris was so sold on the underhand pass that Chris started doing the underhand pass because Brian is like a world expert on that.
Do you guys still do it, Chris?
Well, we didn't get a chance to do anything this year.
That's true.
But the last track seasons that I had, we underhand passed.
Okay.
And so you, JT, seem to be a guy that you'll jump on the phone and talk to people. And you want to know what's going on with great coaches like Brian Fitzgerald. So you were talking to him and he actually mentioned me. And so you called me.
Yeah. Okay. So at 26 years old, I became a head coach. It was my 3rd year of coaching. And I had no idea what to do. I remember taking a coach down the street out to Subway and I was like, how do I take roll? How do I get kids in line? I didn't know anything. And I literally was doing everything my coaches did in high school, which is, I bet you, a bunch of our stories. And then you find out that your coaches in high school, aren't very good because you start doing the things they were doing. So I realized that I don't think, realistically, I was smart enough to understand some of the intricacies that go into sprint philosophy or training or programming. I went to a USA TF level 1 and I was really disappointed in the lack of understanding that they were giving me. So that's it. I'm going to go pay attention to what other people are doing. And I still do this. I think I said in the presentation, the coach I was an assistant coach for a couple of years made a decision. And I remember the decision. I actually forgot what the decision was made during the presentation, but the decision was he had a kid and this kid was a phenom. We're winning a dual meet by 65 points. And he had him run the 8, the 16, the 32. And then he had him start the 4x4. And I remember thinking, what are you doing? I mean, this kid ended up going to Stanford. He was a phenom. I just asked, I was like, how come you're putting this kid in an event that clearly he doesn't need to do, never wanted to do, no one wanted to do? That assistant coach at the time, the distance coach, was really upset. And so I asked him and he basically said, listen, man, I've been doing this for 30 years and let me just continue to do it. I think I know what I'm doing. And it sounds cliche, but what I wanted to say was, no, you did it 1 year bad, and then you just repeated it 29 times in a row. And I thought, I can't be that coach. If this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, and I have 4 kids, like when they eventually get to high school, I want to be a better coach by the time they get there. So you're always a better coach the next year you coach, right? I mean, how many times
if you're doing it right, you are. If you're doing it right, you're a better coach every year.
Sure. Oh my gosh. Like a couple years ago, we had a really good team, did really, really well, ran 41-24, ran 315. They were awesome. But I made mistakes about warming up too early. I think I made mistakes, even like staying up too late the night before. I mean, these small little things, I thought, okay, I learned. I will not make this mistake again. But long story short, I started paying attention to everybody that was going to state finals, and not who had the superstar that ran, 45 or 40, 6 seconds in the quarter or 10-3. I was interested in who had 12 guys that broke 50. And I was interested in like who had a 4x1 team year after year after year with different kids that were still at state finals and prelims year after year. Those coaches are doing something right. So those are the coaches that I started calling and saying, hey, can I take you out for a beer, a cup of coffee, a burger? I don't care. And almost all the time they say yes. So I've been to Temecula, which is about 4 hours from me. I've been to Ventura to see Rio Mesa with Brian Fitzgerald. So that could be a 7-hour trip getting through Los Angeles traffic. So I would just drive, and I didn't even know what Zoom was. I wish I did. But I need to learn from other people. What do they do? What makes them successful? So anyways, I was at a small invitational, and Exeter High School had these non-athletic migrant worker kids. Their uniforms were hanging off their shoulders. And I remember they broke 44 seconds in the 4x1, and none of these kids looked like they could run. And they did an underhand pass. It was smooth. They were in lane 9. It was their school record. They were jumping up and down. So I went and found that coach, and it's a cool guy. We're still friends today. And I was just like, what are you doing? Like, how? And he goes, go find Brian Fitzgerald. And so I went and found Brian Fitzgerald, who's a Hall of Fame coach in California, has since retired, is an unbelievable guy, and has become a very, very good friend of mine. And I call him all the time, still to this day. And every once in a while it pops up on Twitter too. It's fun to see the things that he has to say. I mean, he coached Miriam Jones. I think he had a winner in the 100 in 4 different decades, and that's pretty unbelievable on the girls' side too. So anyways, he mentioned Tony. So I go on Twitter and I found Tony, and a testament to you, Tony, you got on the phone with me and we talked for about 4.5 hours. We talked about, I remember pacing my classroom, just pacing around. And we were talking about chop wood, carry water. We were talking about feed the cats. You even said like soccer is the stupidest sport because it trains kids to be slow. And I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life, because my kids were all playing soccer
at the time. Weren't you new to free lap at the time?
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. And I think, and then of course, Chris's invention, the 23-second drill.
Oh, man,
You're big on that too.
Yeah. I didn't even know this whole TFC thing is not big in California. Hopefully it is now. I see some of the names down there, some of my friends. What you guys are doing in the Midwest, in the East Coast, and it's some of the coolest stuff. I have grown more as a coach since the, March in the COVID season basically happened than I have the previous 13 years, just because we've had opportunities with things like this. So Tony, you talked to me forever. You mentioned RPR. I did some research into that. Now I'm fully into it, and we'll talk about the things I do with it now and the people that are engaged with it. But yeah, looking at Chris's stuff, looking at your stuff. You guys make things so available. I got introduced to Simply Faster and had the opportunity to write like 3 or 4 articles for them. The coaching tree that you two have, that's not the greatest legacy that you two will ever have. I don't know what is, because you're taking these young coaches like myself and giving us opportunities to grow and learn. Brian Kula last year in Chicago was talking about Christian McCaffrey, and he's talking about the things he does and the weight lift and how he lifts. And then he mentioned my name because I wrote something in a Simply Faster magazine. And then you, at the moment, direct messaged me on Twitter and said, this Kula guy is mentioning your name. And I was like, who is this? And it's a Christian McCaffrey's coach. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the highlight of my life. This is great. Well, it got on the phone with Kula, and him and I have become literally like best friends. I've been to Colorado. He's been out here. We know each other's families now. We just put a Coach Tube, like mass specific force lifting series out there. So it's fun how the relationships we're able to build within the coaching community lead to greater understanding, and we're better for our kids and our own communities.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
I think I talk too much. I have some caffeinated coffee, and I'm
No, you're
okay
good.
with product
That's what you're
placement
here to
too.
do.
Simply Faster, send me things.
I was going to ask, I thought it was really cool. Not many coaches have a mission statement. In your presentation, you said you have one. I'll let you say it. And, I was going to tell you what mine is. My mission statement is to have the happiest and healthiest track team that I know of. And that I would have the type of team that the fastest guys in the school would want to run on my team, and would convince all the younger guys in the school how fun track is. And to me, that kind of encompasses everything that I want to do. Can you share with everybody what your mission statement is?
Yeah, so our mission statement is actually kind of similar. And the reason why we have a mission statement is because we have a mission, and we want to broadcast that out. We want it to be public. It says nothing about winning dual meets and winning state titles. We want to do those things, but that's not how we measure success. So if you look at any company, any college, any major worthwhile organization, there's going to be a mission or a purpose statement attached to it. So we're trying to create one of the most magnetic energized magnetic track and field programs in Southern California, while we build discipline into each and every athlete with leaders that have I can't believe it's memorized, a research approach to their training. So in other words, we want people to do track. We want it to be something that's fun. We want it to be something that's cool. And I think the overarching idea of that presentation was track is the greatest sport in the world. The greatest game in the world, I've heard this before, is football. I love football. I played football. But track, there's nothing like it. And track has given me as a coach the opportunity of influence in people's lives where if I don't have a mission, I don't know which direction I'm going. Like I need a compass that's pointing me in the right direction at all times, because it's very easy to start moving off to the wrong way and get sidetracked. Your ego can get into it. You can start getting excited about wins and losses and about the fast kids, not the so fast kids. And to be quite honest, all three of us know that our biggest influence is going to be with the kids that run 58 seconds in the quarter, because they started at 58 and we got them to a 54, which was, all of us know, an act of God. And we did it. And those kids end up going to be an engineer, and they went and been, I don't know. I had a kid that just was an alumni of mine, and he just redid our garage floor, epoxy flooring. That kid was an athlete, and he's being successful, and he remembers everything that happened those 4 years of track because he had a community and he had a worthwhile experience. We gave that to him.
Yeah, that chop wood, carry water thing about burn your goals, go on a mission, and surrender to the results. If the mission never changes,
right?
And that's why I try to tamp down people, my own guys that have goals like I want to run a 10.75 this year. I said, no, be on a mission to be the fastest guy you can possibly be, because that never goes away. And I love the word magnetic in your statement, that magnetic to me means you want to attract kids. And it seems like that's what your whole presentation was about.
We try. When Trabuco Hills High School has a dual meet against anybody, I can tell you that's the best Trabuco has to offer, and we're getting the best out of that. We may get beat, and that's okay. I mean, that team beat us. We didn't lose. And there's a huge difference between losing and getting beat. And we don't want to lose. But if somebody, beats us, then we made it real hard for you to beat us. That's the kind of idea and mentality we want. And so, like you said, fall in love with the process, burn your goals. We have goals. I write them on a board and the kids get excited about them. But then that's the last time we talk about them. And more often than not, the kids write down goals that are not lofty enough. But it's not my job to, tell them they're not doing a good enough job with writing goals. My job is to help them fall in love with the process day in and day out. And practices are fun and good and hard. And that's part of the process. The dual meet you have in, like March for us and the state title that you may do. I can't tell you what memory you're going to hold on to, but my job as a head coach and as a track coach is to give you an opportunity to have a defining moment in your life.
I got to ask about the video clip where you get out of your car with the podium and you go up to someone's house.
Okay.
What was that about?
Oh, that was COVID season. Okay. So, seniors have a senior send off at the end of every year. We dress up. I've even had people come in and tailor the kids out with these 3-piece, really nice suits. And they're pretty inexpensive. Like I just have a friend that does it on the side, and for $100, you'll get like a really, really nice suit. So they'll wear a very, very nice suit. We'll get it catered. We'll do it at somebody's house or somewhere that has just, I've asked around and they volunteered. And I give them basically the same speech year after year. It's like what it means to be a man kind of speech, what it means to be a leader, how we're all sending you off into the world. The parents are there. I honor them and tell them they've done a good job. My job as a coach is to partner with the parents and help them raise these kids, and I only coach boys right now. So coach these young men. And it's amazing what happens between freshman year and senior year, right? So they're gone after their senior year, and it's track too. So most of the time we've already graduated high school. This is like the last moment, and it's really meaningful. So what you saw, Chris, was me going to door because I couldn't have everyone in a room. And so I had my buddy come and film it because I wanted to document it. And I tell you what, it was fun to see where these kids live because we don't always get an opportunity to see that. It was 27 houses. It took me 3 weeks and the same speech over and over again. I could only do like 4 or 5 a day before I wanted to like pass out. I was so tired. The speech takes about like 25 minutes too.
That's pretty funny. Wait, isn't it co-ed in California?
Yeah, except the school I coach at's large. And by the way, I went to high school there too. It's been a fun kind of getting back to your roots kind of story. But I'm the head boys coach and there's a head girls coach. We work together, same budget, same account. We run the track meets together, but he has his own separate program and I have my own, if that makes sense. We do share a few coaches, like our pole vault coach and our high jump coach are the same. But other than that, I have my own staff and he has his own staff.
Tyler Rathke has a question.
I like Tyler.
He's a good friend of ours. And what are the secrets to creating your great YouTube video content?
Okay. Have somebody knows that what they're doing. I think more often than not, a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to say, oh, I have to be the one that knows how to use Final Cut Pro, whatever, iMovie and this and that. You don't, but somebody does. There's somebody in your circle that you have not asked that knows how to do something. So the videos that you see are things that I fundraised for, and then I paid a freelance guy to come do, and the freelance guy happens to be my best friend. It's
How much does he charge? What's he charge?
Depends on the project. I gave him $500. I said, I want 5 awesome videos. And it took, they were spread out through a year. It's a deal. Like he's giving me a deal, but there's also like, I called the newspaper and I was like, hey, do you have anybody that wants to come and just do a fun little thing for OrangeCountyVarsity.com? And they're like, yeah, we'll send somebody. Mile split came by. Honestly, call, ask people. I think more often than not, as coaches, we're too afraid to ask. And if you don't know somebody, somebody knows somebody. So I just asked and I asked and I asked and I asked who knows somebody that knows somebody. Some of the things that we do are just from trial and error. And it's purely not because of any talent of mine. It's because of, I would say unwillingness to not take a no. I want to find someone that says yes. So the videos, I wish I could do more. I just can't afford it. So I have to fundraise, put a budget item in there, have a video come out every once in a while. The Coach Tube stuff that I did. Oh, I guess even the presentation that I did on there, I took my buddy out for a beer and I was like, hey, I need to make this. I'm not doctor, I have no doctorate. I'm not smart enough to talk about these things, but the one thing I can do is put a cool video at the front end and maybe in the middle or at the end and make it more personal because I can't be there, in person. And he was like, you buy me another beer, we'll do it. I'm like, okay, great. Here's another one,
Which leads to the second question by Corbin Brown, another friend of ours. It's actually for both me and you, so I will answer this first. It says, how do you make these awesome posters? Because we had the dueling posters thing today.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
And the thing that's cool for me is that I always tell people that it all starts with great pictures. And what's weird in my program is I am the photographer. I don't coach at meets, and it works out pretty well because the kids, have to learn how to build their own house and figure a thing. I'm always there for them, but I'm a photographer and I love it. It's my favorite part of a meet is getting home afterwards and seeing the beautiful pictures because track is the most photogenic sport in the world. Probably because it's the greatest sport in the world. And so then I send off, anytime somebody breaks a record or we have something big happen, I send them off to the mother of a herder that I had once who puts it into Photoshop. And so she makes it. And so for me, I didn't even have to ask because she said, hey, I'm working with this Photoshop. Would you like me to? And that's how it all got started for us, just by a parent, which leads to what you said is that you have a couple parents that are photographers, right?
Yeah. Well, we've turned them into photographers because we give them an outlet. When
I was a freshman football coach, I thought maybe if I was taking the pictures as the head freshman football coach, that would look a little weird, So in the parents meeting, I said, do any of you have a great camera? If you do, you can take pictures and have sideline access. And I got 2 or 3 every year, and they would shoot like thousands of pictures. And I had to tell them, stop sending me 1,000 pictures.
Yeah.
Send me your best 20.
Yeah, right.
Because it's just too much work. So anyway, that stuff about you simply asking, I just don't think we do that enough.
Right. You're right. We don't. And it's not just a coach's thing. That's a human condition. Right.
So who does your posters?
Oh, okay. This is, so yeah, at a parent meeting, I basically say, who loves taking photos? Because we want you. And if they're not great, that's okay. So I have 3 or 4 photographers that come to every track meet. I only give them gear. Now our gear is the coolest gear in the world. So I'm really biased. I design all of it. So that's why, what's funny is I was just having dinner with my kids and all 4 of them have either a Coach Ayers performance or a TH track shirt or hat. And I'm wearing a Trabuco shirt. I was like, I think 80% of the things my kids wear and I wear, mine's 100, is Trabuco track or something affiliated, they're going to have RPR shirts pretty soon. Right. So, we have a Flickr account and it's free. Actually, that's not true. I think I paid $10 for the year because we reached too many things. My photographers go out there and they just take pictures and pictures and pictures. They edit them. I tried every once in a while, just walk up to them and say, hey, don't forget the shot putters because we always forget about the shot putters. And then the photographers I have, they don't have any kids in the program anymore, but they still come to the meets. And man, every year too, it's because we given them an outlet for their hobby. We give them a reason to kind of engage in something they're so passionate about. They get very passionate about it. I can't tell you, my photographers, these guys, these parents, they have knee pads, arm pads. They have 4, cameras around their neck, and they're like on the ground. One of them said, "Can I put a GoPro on top of the standard for pole vault?" I was like, "That's the best idea I've ever heard. Let me help you, and let's figure this out." So take photos. Now, with that said, the people that are taking photos are people that I have, and we need to say this. They're people that I have vetted. I trust, and I can't just have anybody down there taking photos of kids, right? And we can't be too excited in our ambitions that we're not too smart about what we do with the kids that we're entrusted to coach. So the people that are taking photos, that's a big, big deal. You're right. It starts there. So my Flickr account, full of good pictures, like really, really good pictures. Every kid that goes track and field in my program, every kid has the opportunity to have a Christmas card with their, little Susan or Johnny on it, or blow it up in their room. They have memories forever because of the photos. And then I spend, and this is kind of the labor of love and fun part, is I get up in the morning, I get to school early, I get ready for my class. And then I'm going through that Flickr account and I'm just picking pictures out that I like, saving them for a rainy day when I want to use them. Now the poster, I send it to my guy and I talk about him. His name's Siska. We've been working together for 7 years. He lives in Indonesia and I never met him. His last name is actually a bad word, so I'm not going to say it. And I can't, it's not his real name. But
what is his last name? Come on, coach.
Oh, it's the N word.
Can't say it.
No, I can't say it.
Okay.
He thinks it's funny. I put Siska in a new tax bracket. Like, this guy has made so much money from what I have asked. I pay him like $300 for logos, and that pays for his house, his rent, and his food for his whole family. Like,
so are you going to give out his phone number to all of us?
He's my guy. You get your own guy.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you how to find a guy.
Okay.
So I send it to him. I say, make it look like Oregon, and like send that Oregon stuff, or make it look like, TCU or Texas A&M. And he does, and it's very cheap. And then I give the file to a local print shop that she does it for free because she's great. And we've developed a relationship with her, and I put a banner on our track so she gets free advertising. And I make about 50 of them and I pass them out, and they're fun. And then I have Twitter wars with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
I don't
know Photoshop, and I don't think you know Photoshop.
No, I
Chris,
don't.
you probably wrote the code for Photoshop. But I don't know. Somebody knows Photoshop. In fact, it might be one of your kids. It might be one of your athletes. Say, hey, you have a student aide. Hey, make this real pretty. Or maybe there's a graphic design place at your school. Like, just go over there and say, hey, can you just make this look awesome? I've had the video production team at Trabuco come over and film us. It's not very good, but it's better than nothing. And my videos, those videos that you guys see or I put out there, they're 100% made for the Trabuco Hills community that I will put out every once in a while. And what I mean by that is there's not a week that goes by Trabuco boys track and field is not on the announcements. I mean, September 5th, it's not even track season, but there is something about Trabuco track. We are always in the forefront. Trabuco Hills is a track school. It is nothing else. And I don't say that because obviously I'm extremely biased, but I want that to be a reputation we have. Like, the kids at Trabuco want to do track, and it's fun and it's good. And we work with all the other programs, and the programs, we have great coaches. We all work together. We want multi-sport athletes. Did that answer your question? I talked a lot.
No, that's really good.
Oh, how do you get a Siska? Okay, so go to 99 Designs. It's a website platform. The name escapes me exactly how they do it. Basically, you put money on the table and you say, this is what I want. And then graphic designers all over the world will come and they'll just bid, and they'll show you stuff. And it takes about 2 weeks for them just to flood you with things that are interesting and good. You pick 5. Then you work with those 5 for about a week. And then you pick 2. These 2 graphic designers keep asking, I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to see this. And eventually you get one, you pick a winner, they get all the money.
So how much did you have to invest?
Oh gosh, this was, okay. So the TH logo, the track, it's a TH. That's a logo I made up, and now our school's adopted it. We're actually more of a Bronco head. We're supposed to be, but that TH I made 7 years ago, and I made on 99 Designs. I cannot remember how much I spent. I think it was $200.
Okay.
And that $200 got me Siska. Siska did a great job. He won, and then I wrote him an email and say, "Hey, can you work for me now?" And I go, "Just keep doing what you're doing, but I want to send you work. I'll pay you through PayPal, and you do stuff for me, and I want it quick." He's like, "Yeah." So we actually made a logo business. I've done like 500 logos in the last 5 years for companies, for small engineering firms, for other sport programs, all kinds of stuff. It's fun.
It's pretty cool. The lost art of logos.
Oh my gosh. Branding and marketing. I put that in the presentation because Tony said something in a tweet. Why are we not the coolest sport on campus? Like, we should be. Our gear is awesome. The guys that do it and the girls that do it are the coolest kids on campus. I take a lot of pride when the homecoming king is the pole vaulter or the triple jumper. Like that's track. That's us, and then so the gear that we use, I make sure it looks really, really good, like really good. And all I do is search Twitter and follow Oregon mostly, but Oregon equipment, or Texas A&M, Florida, LSU, Washington State does some cool stuff too. I follow what other like cool brands look like. If I'm on the supermarket and I see something cool, I take a picture of it and I go, that's what, I have a hat somewhere. I have a lot of cool hats. The LA Dodgers have the LA, and it's a black hat on black. I was like, man, that's what the Trabuco Trek hats are going to look like. It's kind of like Tony's right now. It's just like a dark on a dark. So it's a TH on a dark. You know what? I'm going to get it. Hold on.
He lives in a nice part of California.
Yeah, we're all friends here. We can do this. So this is one hat. It's super cool.
You realize that those are my initials, JT.
Well, I'll send you one. This is for you. You're officially one of us now.
So I would not look good in one of those stupid flat build.
So this is for the millennials, and then I got the old man, flat, regular hats like you got, like I like over there too. So I make hats with Z Hat. Is that what the company's called? Yeah. No, Zephyr, ZEPHHYR. You can make custom hats. They're like $8, and I buy like 150 of them, and then I sell them for $20, and they sell out every year.
That's great. Another question from actually the guy that you've been on several podcasts with, your buddy Tom Broback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
He has a question. What are you looking forward to implementing most in 2021?
An actual practice or a dual meet. I get excited about the kids and the team. It's a different team every year, even though most of them are the same kids. They're not the same kids. That junior you had last year is a different kid their senior year. I'm excited to see them race. I see them practice, but I want to see them race. So implementing, it's gonna be a weird year. I'm gonna have to.
Will you have a season?
What's that?
What are your chances that you're going to have a track season?
We have a full schedule, and it's weird out here. We have a We have a full schedule. Right now it's scheduled to fall sports are all going to be from January, hopefully, to mid-March. And then all winter and spring sports are together March through end of June. So my team's ready. We're ready to go. We've been practicing since August. I run an all year round program, and the kids that are in football will be in football. And then when they're done, they'll come over, but we're ready. And then if they say no, it's done. And I'm fully prepared to go to Texas, Florida, anywhere, Arizona. I have kids that want to race, and we'll figure out a way to make a Kickstarter campaign to buy us plane tickets. But I want to get these kids the races. So I don't know. So to answer your question, Tom, more podcasts with you. That's what I want to do more.
Somebody asked, how many athletes are on your team? Do you have tryouts and cut, or do you keep everyone?
So the answer to this question might sound strange because I've said it in clinics and it's not the same for everybody else. The school at Trabuco is 2,800 kids, fairly big. And if I did not have cuts we don't have cuts. We have qualifying standards per event, per grade. And they're on the Trabuco track website. If you don't make the mark in the 100 or the 4, which we have tryouts for, you can't be on the team. If I did not do that, we would have 350 kids on the team, just boys. And the problem with that is that takes away PE numbers. So now we're putting people out of a job because PE, you have to do 2 years in California. And that's, for us, that's an actual class. It's not after school. It's an actual class. So in the springtime, 7th period is track, and I'm the coach and the teacher for it. So we have qualifying standards, and you need to make it. We have 3 tryouts, and you can try out for 2 hours as much as you want, and we're coaching you. We're helping you. It's all hand time. And I'll tell you guys right now, since no athletes are watching, there's some times where this kid is trying so freaking hard and he can't make the time. And I go, set, go. And then they're almost to the finish line. I'm like, you made it. And just barely, and sometimes you do that. So right now we're averaging about 150, 160 kids in the team, just boys.
Yeah. A lot of times when I tell people that we cut, I mean, people look at me kind of side eye, like, what's wrong with you? Track is a no cut sport. It's, it's physical fitness. And I'm like, no, it's a real sport. And I must coach kids. And to me, I just always make the statement that there's a reason why no varsity basketball team has 70 guys on it. Mm. You don't have the space, you don't have the coaches, and you don't have the ability to coach 70 basketball players. You can coach 12, but I've been a basketball coach and it's hard to coach 15. I mean, those last 5 guys in your team never get in a game. So it's, yes, there is a lot of participation in track, but I will say this, that the only guys that ever get cut for my team are sprinters, and they get to go to the distance group if they wish. Most of the time they do not. And the other guys that get cut are throwers, because we have one throws coach. And I think if you have 25 guys and 15 of them can't throw 25 feet, you're just wasting time.
Right.
So we try to have 10 throwers. Yeah, we would never cut a big freshman that was throwing 27, but we make that decision. We do not have standards. We are subjective about it. I just tell a kid that you may only get to run 3 or 4 meets with us, because you're just not, it's not, you're not a bad kid, but not everybody that tries out for a part in the play gets a part in the play.
Right. Well, there's another element to it is 7 years ago, we implemented qualifying standards, and every year I've had to lower them because the kids keep getting better. And then they want to try, then if they're not doing another sport, they're with me all year round. So I have kids that barely made it their freshman year or didn't make it. I made them a team manager because I like them. And their sophomore year, they end up making it because they worked out and they worked and it became something that was important to them. But there's this idea of value. Too often nowadays, people are just given things. And so if I say you earned it, if you earned a spot on this track team, then you're going to value it. So what happens is every single kid that races on our track team is passionate about it, knows how to do it. They paid their suggested donation so they can get their gear, because you don't have to pay. There's no fees in California to do sports. Like this is a donation. We are like 97%. And that there's track programs around us that are like 10% and they're dying.
What is your donation?
$250. So $250 gets you sweat bottom, sweat top, uniform bottom, 2 cool shirts, a sticker, and a backpack. And then that also, it's a fundraiser too, because we end up making like a little extra money per kid. We have kids that pay. Those parents, because their kids value it, they value it. Now they're volunteering at meets. They're taking pictures. They're in the snack bar. It becomes a culture that we've created where everybody's moving in the same direction and nobody's taking it for granted because they've earned a spot. So I think there's that element of it's not just handed to you. And not only that, but I've made it hard to make it in the 100, and I made it easy to make it in the 4. So, and the reason why is because if a kid shows up at tryouts and is going to try to run a 400, well, I'll take you, and not only that, but then you're not just going to, just because you made it in the 4 doesn't mean I'm not going to make you a hurdler or a sprinter in the 100 or 200 or jumper or whatever. I might make you a pole vaulter too. I don't know. So we do have qualifying standards, and there's been some programs in our area that have copied us and taken that. And I think I took it from somebody else too and just changed it up a little bit. But yeah, trabucotrack.com. It's right there. You can go grab it. Kids know what they need to do.
How has the culture changed dramatically over the years? If you can think back or recall times when it wasn't what it was, what were the 1 or 2 things that got the ball rolling in the right direction?
Okay, that's a great question. And I'm probably the utmost authority on that answer because I went to high school there and I saw what it was. And then I left for a few years. Well, I went to college, I came back, I was a coach for 3 years, and then I left for 4, and then I came back. 1, we win now, a lot more. The second thing is that we have a culture, we have a community. We established it, we made it from scratch. It took time. What you have now is you have kids that are alumni coming back to coach. You have little brothers and sisters that are excited to be on the team when their older siblings are doing it. We get everybody involved. I passed out stickers that are car decals to everybody. You drive around Mission Viejo or Southern Orange County, you're going to see our TH track stickers in the back of people's cars. I love that. It's fun. I live really close to the school. I drive an electric scooter to work and right up to my classroom. And it takes me 3 minutes and 29 seconds. And you better believe I timed that. And I try to PR every day. There's one signal I got to get through, but this is my community. It's become a small town to me because I can't go to Regal Cinema. Well, I can't go to Regal Cinema anymore anyways. I can't go to the local, Subway shop or the grocery store or the, frozen yogurt place without seeing an old athlete or a parent or somebody. And that's fun. That's the community. That's the culture that we have. So how do we create that? Some of the things we're talking about, and, it's been fun to see people you don't know wearing your gear, and that's because they want to.
I think culture is, everybody talks about culture, but I think to some coaches, culture is just simply the fun things we do. Like we do a pasta party before the whatever and things like that. But I think what culture is a sustained direction of your program. And I love the word inertia because I'm an old science teacher, that things tend to stay at rest or move in the same direction at the same speed unless acted upon by an outside force. And what that inertia where it just kept popping up during your presentation yesterday when I was taking notes, that what you have is a program going at a high speed in a certain direction. And that's why you could step away from it and it's going to keep going in that same direction.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes like a snowball effect or like a self-sustaining juggernaut. And when I told my youngest son, Quinn, he's 27, just got a head track job at a good school. And I told him, make sure you watch this presentation. And he watched it and he said, that's exactly what I want to do at Andrew High School, which is a great tribute to you, you know, because you're affecting people, you know, and that's why I told Quinn, I said, once you get that going, who's going to stop it? Like, how is Trabuco not going to be great in 3 years? Because you're going in that direction.
Mm-hmm. So if I could say something to your son, it takes 3 years. It takes 3 years because your freshman and sophomore, they're going to buy in. You're going to get those parents to buy in, and then they're going to grow and they're going to be your leaders. And then once you have that, like you said, there's this cycle. I am not okay with just waiting around for talent. I have never had a transfer at my school ever. And there's transfers everywhere. The top 2 football programs in the country are just down the street. The local high school that I hate the most, that I have hated since I was 17, they steal all the football players, you know, and they do steal them. So, oh yeah. So what do I get? My top kid, probably one of the better hurdlers in the nation, hockey player. My 4x1 that ran 41.24, a Korean kid that literally was fresh off the boat. Like, language was a barrier. Fun story. His dad smoked cigarettes, but if he broke 11, he would stop smoking. And he ran 10.99 in the last race, and everybody knew it. And everybody pointed at the stands, and everyone said, no, you know? And so we made sure he knew that he couldn't smoke anymore. I heard he dips though. That's a problem. So anyways,
that's worse.
I know. Wow.
It's like heroin.
Choose your battles.
Yeah.
So, and then one kid I found in PE class, another kid on that 4x1 had a 4.9 GPA and was staying up till 4 a.m, cramming for SATs and didn't care about sports, but they ran 41.24 and only one of those kids was like a dude. And how does that happen? Well, if one kid went down, we had 3 other kids that were ready to go, not because they were so much faster or better, because we had this self-sustaining culture. And I'm not okay with just saying, I'm going to wait until the next cycle of talent comes through. Like, we should be number 1 or 2 in Orange County every single year because we're building the 2021 team this upcoming year. I'm building the 2022, 2023, and I'm already picking out my 2024 kids and getting them excited about, hey, we're going to make you a sprinter before we make you a hurdler because we got to work on some mechanics. You're kind of crazy. Let's make you a pole vaulter, and we're going to throw all kinds of resources at you because we can and we want to. And so you create teams every single year. And so I'm coaching 4 teams right now, and the sophomores are looking to the seniors and they want to aspire to be like them. We go to the state finals. I bring 3 freshmen with me. We go to Arcadia, and I bring 2 sophomores. And I said, this is going to be you in 2 years. You know, you're a 2-year, 4-year, 3-year project. Like, don't ever stop. And they don't. They're excited. Kids should not be excited about practice and, end of August, but they are. I give them otter pops sometimes too, so that makes them happy.
What kind of relationship do you have with your football program? And how do you prioritize getting mutually beneficial relationships between the programs?
The key question to everything track and field in high school, right? You have to, I think I said something like the generation that we coach cares about trust more than anything. And we have to garnish that and we have to earn that. Well, your football coach needs to do the same thing. Just like the soccer coach and the baseball coach, and I'm going to have to deal with the golf coach this year because I found a kid that he's a golfer, ran 4.48 free lap. I was like, oh my gosh, the 40-yard dash. So what do? You go to them, and it's just like, by the way, if you want to be a good coach, you need to listen to the audiobook or read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's the best coaching book there is. So go to that coach and say, what can I do? How can I do this and make it beneficial for you? And how can it's not just like how you help me and you serve me. I'm here to make sure the kid gets what he needs, but I have to do this within his world. So here's an example. Football coach, can I run the kids? Yeah. When would be best? He'll say after we lift. Great. I don't like that, but I'll work with it. And then another thing you do is you get them as freshmen. Get them before they go to varsity. Before varsity coach knows who they are, you've already met them. So I have met all the 3 freshmen A, B, and C teams. I've met all those kids. I've met the baseball kids, even though they do the same sport. I've met with the soccer team. You get the kids excited, and then there's nothing the varsity coach could say to really persuade them otherwise. But I'm pretty lucky. My football coach is a good guy. He's a track guy in his previous life before he became just a football coach. So he gets it. And I'm asking him all the time, what are you guys doing this week? When can I fit in? And honestly, I don't have a problem at all.
And you said your football team wasn't very good?
They're not very good, no. We also have this weird problem where the fastest 16 kids in the school, because I time every single guy that does a sport in the school, they're all just track kids with me. So that kind of makes the football coach a little upset, even though I'm like broadcasting, please go play football, go have fun, live your life, no regrets. They're like, nah, I don't want to get hit, and I don't want to, roll around until I throw up and get dementia, and I don't want to, do all these weird things. So I don't know. Every once in a while, you get kids that are football kids that are good track kids, but not at my school. Those kids go to another school. But that's just my culture. I mean, all of us are experts in our own culture, right? I mean, we're the only ones that know our school, our kids, our faculty, our admin, our parents. If it's a high socioeconomic status, if it's a low socioeconomic status, we are the only ones that truly know how to navigate those troubled waters. And so we have to. My story is different than your guys's, and it's different than Brian Kula's, and Tyler Germain's on here. I mean, it's all different. So we have to be intentional about those things.
Brooks Armstrong wants to know if he wanted to do the app idea. How do you do it?
Okay, so the app is the coolest thing in the world because my parents sit up in the stands, and dual meets are like 4 hours, especially since we have so many kids. They sit there and you've given them a tool or an opportunity to research and become familiar. I'm creating fans because I'm giving them the opportunity to do that. So our app has things like Hall of Fame, how you earn it, who's on it, how they got it. I have my Simply Faster articles on there. My parents know what mass specific force is. They know what how to, the way that we do leadership training. They know we have pictures on there. They sit there and just flip through pictures.
So how is an app different than your website?
Well, the app is just on the phone. So the idea is that it's much easier to access, and that's everything.
Okay.
Half of the stuff that's on my website is connected to the app.
Right.
So I put something on the website, it goes to the app. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. So I say all these great things about the app. It's been an awful thing. I made it 7 years ago. I made it with a company that there's companies online that you can make it, and they'll push it to Google, push it to Apple, because they're very weird about their specifications about how these things get done. I paid like a lifetime. It was like $800. I was like, I never want to worry about this again. That's not the way I would recommend it. I would look into an app, because why not? We're living in this world where you give the opportunity for the kids and for the parents to open up an app on their phone, and they're going to have Instagram, Twitter, they're going to have articles, they're going to have videos. I have my YouTube on there. I have all our coaches' bios. I have, did I say pictures? I have pictures. I have the dual meet order of events. I have no questions ever about what we're doing. I even put RPR and our warm up on there, because if a kid's sitting there and he doesn't know what to do, he can be like, oh, okay, I know what to do. So I also make Google Docs, and I put like every single kid, what race, what heat, and I throw that on there in a PDF format so the parents know if they have to run from work early to get to see their, little kid run 15.5 in the 100-meter dash, and it's the best thing ever. And so that's important. So that's something that has been really cool for us, but your parents are not going to sit in the stands and type in your website. It's just not going to happen. So go find your own way to do an app and let me know. I'm not, just Google it. There's companies that make apps for people, and you don't have to know coding or anything.
You actually mentioned Tyler Germain, a mutual friend of ours. Matter of fact, who did we have on last night? Oh, Brad Dixon was actually wearing a Tyler Germain shirt.
I saw that. Yeah.
You even sprint,
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the network just keeps growing and growing. But Tyler wants to know what's up with your fixation with the 300-meter hurdles.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's because him and I've talked a lot. I love the 300-meter hurdles because, well, one, people don't know how to coach it real well. And so that's an opportunity for me to go score a lot of points because I can, and I care about that event. Everyone loves other events. I don't understand why the 300-meter hurdles doesn't get the love it could. But if you coach it in a way and you practice in a way that's good and right, well, you're going to have, that's 9 points in a dual meet. That's last year. We started the season with two guys that ran 38.5, and they're both going to be like 37 low. That's big points that no one really cares about or pays attention to. That's a sprint too. And that more often than not, you see more kids run that race poorly, and it's borderline child abuse, the kids they put into that race. You watch these kids, you're like, that kid's going to die. They have 8 chances to die. Like, oh no, please don't die. And my kids don't. My kids know how to run it. To be a hurdler at Trabuco, you have to be elite sprinter first. So we only have 6 hurdlers, and they don't both run the 110s and 300s. I have 4 kids that run the 110s, and 2 of those kids run the 3s, but I have 4 other kids that run that as well. So we've only had 1 or 2 freshmen run the hurdles the last few years because I want to make them a good sprinter first. I got to teach them how to run before I can teach them how to hurdle. So it's a high honor to be a hurdler at Trabuco, and those kids are good. And I love that. I kind of love that stamp on like that outside community looking in. Like, oh, here's Trabuco again with all these hurdlers. So the running joke is, as soon as you start showing any kind of real talent, Ayers is going to make you a hurdler. And that's true. I'm going to make you a hurdler.
Coach's kids are hurdlers.
Oh, is that right?
Well, yeah. That's an event that's coached.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody uncoached could win the 100.
Oh yeah. Well, so I'm the head coach, but I do sprints and hurdles. And I typically have one assistant coach. The one I've had is an old athlete, and he's just since moved away. And my dad's about to retire, so I have no problem yelling at him what to do. So he's going to come over and help me out. But yeah, having a good second. Everyone needs a Scottie Pippen, and if you don't have a Scottie Pippen, then you're Russell Westbrook, and you're floating around, and you're great, and you can't win anything. So. I think we need that. Don't take that clip and put that on Twitter. Use something else.
all clips are possible.
Oh, great.
This is a great question. I think that every coach needs to answer this. And I'd like to know what Chris says about this as well. Fundraisers. Any ideas?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Chris, you go first.
I'm not a head coach, so I don't have to do that.
Oh.
You are so lucky.
Gosh,
You miss out on all the fun things. All you have to do is coach.
That's all I want to do. I don't want to do any of the other stuff. It doesn't
See,
interest.
That's the problem, is that nobody wants to do bus schedules and get red coats there. But I got control issues. And so this is why I do it. Cause I can't, I would be the worst assistant coach. If you hired me as assistant coach,
I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
oh my gosh, I'd be so bad.
I'm
Okay.
awful.
So fundraisers. I'm not going to lie. Our program has a high operation budget because we fundraise the crap out of our program. So we run the third largest invitational in California. We had about 5,000 athletes 2 years ago. 2 days of track meet, distance events on Friday under the lights. Next day, all varsity field events and sprint events. It was awesome. And we have like 110 schools that come, and it's a little expensive, and we give a really fun, it's awesome. So we have that. We have another meet we run. So
Wait, how much you make from that meet? How much you make?
I'm not sure I'm supposed to say.
Okay, let me add this. I was having lunch one day with Coley Kendall. You know,
Okay.
Coley,
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know Cole.
Anthony Norman's high
yeah.
school coach.
Yeah, I've been to Temecula,
and he was talking about his like 13 assistant coaches.
I have 16.
I was like, he has 16?
Yeah, and I have to pay for all of them.
And so he says, yeah, we pay him through our fundraisers. I said, what's that? He said, well, we have one meet where we make 32,000.
I make more than that.
Okay, so you're the over on that. So
his meat is cute compared to mine. Like it's nice. It's
here's the difference. How about this? In Illinois, like at Plainfield North High School, I could have the best invitational in the world. I don't even get concessions. I don't get gate. I don't get entries. I get supposedly 20% of the profit that the school gets, but I never see those numbers. So let's just say that I am not in the business of trying to run wonderful invitationals, because that's a lot of work for a coach. But if I was making 40 or 50,000, that would be a little bit better.
So if you want to run a program that looks like a Division I program, and you have aspirations to put, I want laser timers, or I want a fully automatic timer at every single meet. We just bought wind screens that go around the whole track, because I was on Texas A&M's website and I thought those look cool. And so I called their athletic director, and he got on the phone with me, and he's like, we bought these at this place in Michigan called Big Signs. And so I called them, and they made them for us, and they were really expensive, but we fundraise for those things. So we have the Mustang Roundup. We invite 13 teams only beginning of the year. We have concessions at every dual meet, and we have a taco guy, and he's cool, and all these other little things. But we host the Trabuco Hills Invitational. It's a big, big meet, the one I was talking about. We do league prelims, league finals, make money on those. We do Division I CIF prelims. So Michael Norman was running at our track. Guys like Reggie Wyatt. I'm always.
Did I say Anthony Norman? I meant Michael Norman. Yeah, go ahead.
We all know. We take full credit for any success he's had.
Oh, I bet.
He's so great. So we've had really great athletes at our facility because we host those things. We don't make a lot of money on CIF because CIF is our governing body for all California sports. You guys have all different names for yours, and they're all corrupt. I'm just kidding. Anyways, we make money on all those things, but we also do things like the Spirit Pack. Like we give gear, we make money on that. So the girls coach and myself do not take any money, and this might be unpopular. We don't take money as meet managers, and there's people that take a lot of money. You know what? My family is not starving. I don't make a lot of money as a coach, but I don't know if I could take $5,000 out of a meet where everybody's working and I'm asking for volunteers to do something. And not only that, I'd rather have 3 sets of Gill Fusion blocks, and I'd rather have more chips than I can do with the free lap. I'd rather have those things for the kids. And not only that, but I want cool gear, because I want to wear cool gear. So And I want my children to wear cool gear.
Hey, how much your sleeves cost you?
Those sleeves,
Yeah.
I think I got them for $20, and then I went and got them like silk screen for like another $5 or something like that.
Cool. They look great.
Yeah, except like when you buy it, they look cool. My kids are all like tall and skinny, and so
Yeah.
now they look intimidating. So, none of my kids have upper bodies by design, right? I don't want them thick and heavy. So I got to make them cool looking somehow. So I gave them black uniforms with sleeves. I mean, I got tattoos, but that's the only street cred we got.
I never thought people paid themselves as meet managers.
Oh man,
Not in Illinois, at least.
There's a guy out here. I won't go to his meet, but he pays himself $8,000.
Wow.
And they always ask us, like, how much do you pay yourself? Like, zero. And they're like, what? And there's people that say you should. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and you do not get paid to be a coach. Really anything, especially a track coach. I just can't do it. I don't know. It just feels wrong because we're all in this together, and this is part of the community. Now, who counts the money at the track meet? My mom and dad do, because I trust them, and they're in a room locked. Who does the snack bar? The best team parent mom I have. We have 5 meetings throughout the fall, and then we have another 12 leading up to the track meet, because it takes that much to make these things happen.
One of the things you said that I love in your presentation is you have certain things that are unique to your program. Like you have the team handshake. You have a thing where anytime you say, how's the weather? The answer is always perfect. And you they had the story of pouring rain. You went over your 3 hurdlers and you said, how's the weather? And they said, perfect. And it reminds me so much. And I texted Steve Jones, a good friend of Chris and I's, who is kind of, well, he's definitely a culture expert, in the football sense. He's 112-7 lifetime in football. And anyway, he spoke several times at TFC, and I'll never forget, he said that anytime a guy drops a pass or something, there's an answer that the team, the coaches always say, and they say, park it. And what that means is when you park your car to go in somewhere, you park it and forget it. By forgetting it, it's still in the parking lot. But when you say park it to that guy, it doesn't take away the drop pass, but it's a way to forget it and move on to the next play. And so it just really struck a chord with me how similar what you do is in another sport to what he does.
Yeah. So you asked me about mission statement. I mean, what about values? And if you have values, and you should have values, they need to be defined and measurable. So how do you do that? Well, you have to remind your community all the time about what those values are. So like row the boat, like there's different things we can say that remind your community what you're about. So yeah, before every single practice, Kula actually was out here and it was raining a little bit, and we're at the park and the distance team's on the other side of the street. And I just yelled, how's the weather outside? And all these kids were like, it's perfect, And so that we're not even doing the practice together, because I'm with the sprinters and off-season track, and cross country's over there. And that strikes a chord because the freshmen coming in see they're part of something, and they get to say the chants and they get to be cool. It reminds them why the values we have and what you do. And I get to coach them because the rest of their life, they're going to remember what pound the stone means, how's the weather outside, discipline equals freedom. What else do I say? It's been a while since I've said these things. So the values that you have, you need to remind your community of them often. And then you remind yourself of those things often. And you know what? It becomes fun and goofy and funny, and they go in back of shirts and they become silly. And I don't know. I stole these.
It seems like you do this without being corny. like I, as a guy that considers himself a serious coach, I do not like corny coaches. Guys that, understand what I mean? That I don't even know how to define it. But
well, I
you've got
stole.
to stay cool. You've got to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so everything I do is intentional. Everything, and the kids know this. I mean, the rest period we have between reps, how we're doing something, when we're doing it, the kids know. And that's the same thing with, the values that we have, the mission statement we have. Now, with that said, how's the weather outside? I stole it from a coach that used to sing songs to his kids about hill repeats. Like, he's like, I made a song up. And I was like, I'll never do that. Like, how dare you? Like, if my kids don't think, I'm not trying to be cool. I'm 38. Like, cool has passed me a long time ago. However, if the kids, it has to do with that trust factor too. If the kids don't trust you and think that you're intentional with what you're trying to do, why would they do it? And you know what? What makes you a good teacher is because the kids come into your classroom and see the value of what they're learning. That's the same thing with track, same thing with everything they do in life.
Well, kids will always reflect enthusiasm.
Oh, I got that in spades. That's for sure.
Always. Yeah, you do. And yeah, they see through falsehoods and when people are not authentic. That's why I think maybe corniness is a bad word. If you lack authenticity, what you're doing, they're going to see right through it.
Real quick, Chris said, hey, he lives in Mission Viejo. The weather is perfect. Is that you, Chris? Is that you said that? Oh, you L2 Brute. You're on the.
Come on out in April. Come out on week 2 in April. Well,
there's
it's like when you've got to scrape the ice off the track. Ice on the
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I've been drinking JT's Kool-Aid and I'm thinking, I'm going to steal that. How's the weather, guys?
No, you're not.
It sucks.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
The one
it should be more.
That was the basis for a story. It rains every meet for us.
The one time it rained. This will be the last time I come back to TFC because there's a bunch of you guys are all jealous.
That's right. That's right. Some things will only work in California.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, there's truth to that for sure. Oh my gosh. I lived in Michigan for 4 years when I was growing up. That was different. However, I do remember playing football and soccer in the snow. And if the kid thinks it's cold, they're not going to work hard. But if they think it's perfect, so it might even be more impactful for you guys than my very weak sauce Orange County kids.
How about, here's a question from Richard. Can you talk about the circuits you use with your hex bar lifts?
Circuits. Sure. So mass specific force, the way that we lift, I'm going to give you a very brief answer. The best thing to do is,
if they want more, they can buy the course, right?
Well, I would go buy Brian Kula, and I put a lot into that. And I know this is a shameless plug, but I'm splitting the money with him, so I don't make that much.
How long is the course?
I think it's an hour, but we actually go through. So real quick, the beginning of the course has to do with the science of why we do it. And then the next part is we actually take an athlete through the entire course. I mean, the lifting, I take my stud hurdler and put him through the whole thing. And then we go through all the supplementary Olympic lifts you could do, scheduling in season, out of season. And not only that, but if you buy the course, I send you an email and you can just email me anytime if you have questions or whatever. Bottom line is the way that we lift, we're not in the weight room very long at all. In fact, less than 30 minutes, and I can get 55 sprinters in and out of there that fast. So I have 15 hexagon deadlift bars that I all bought in the weight room. We put weight on them. We warm up a little bit, and then the kids put big weight on it based on what they need to do. We only lift over 85%. So a hypothetical week would be Monday's 90% 3x3. So Wednesday would be 85% 3x4. And then on Friday, it would be 85%, or 95% 3x2. What we do is we only focus on the concentric lift, not the eccentric. So we lift up with the deadlift bar, and it's a hexagon deadlift bar, which you don't have to use, just so much easier with high school kids, and you can pull a little more, push a little more weight. Then you drop it once you're at the top. So a kid will, again, let's say it's a Monday, and he's lifting 90% of his max. He will deadlift, go up, drop the weight, reset himself, go up, drop the weight, and then go up and drop the weight. He'll walk over. He's done deadlifting for now. He'll do a basic plyometric, whatever one you choose, hurdle hop, pogo jump, rocket jump, whatever. And then he sits down for 5 minutes. And it has to do with the energy system, the phosphorus pool that we're trying to replenish, which we can within 5 minutes. And then we do it again. So our kids are getting stronger without adding mass. And so
because it's concentric, there's no next day soreness.
Oh no, we run the next day for sure.
So,
oh yeah.
So that's another question. Do you do in-season lifting? And the answer is, of course, because you don't get sore.
So a lot of this philosophy of mass specific force comes Allison Felix high school coach, a guy named Barry Ross, who wrote, this is a good thing to put, go buy this book, Underground Secrets to Faster Running. Is a great book. You can see I already have a bunch of stuff in there. It's really, really good.
The ebook is only like $11 or $12. That book is about $40 on Amazon.
And it's hard to find.
It is.
So anyways, yeah, Allison Felix was deadlifting on Tuesday and then ran a national record on Friday. And so my kids will deadlift now, January through, I think the first 2 months we go 3 times a week, and then we move down to 2, and then we're moved down to 1. But we still deadlift and we don't stop.
We have one other question, I think, that is still open. With your spirit pack, it's kind of changing directions back to where we were.
Sure.
Does this mean you have a new uniform each season?
Yeah. Our uniforms are white, so they get gross. And so the kids will buy a new uniform. By law, I have to give a kid a uniform, and I have to give them a uniform bottom, so top and bottom. But if they don't pay for that donation, they give it back. Like I will check it out like it's a library book. But I don't have a lot of those, really. So I also have, ways to fundraise for the Spirit Pack. Like go get a local business to give you a banner, and that's worth $300. So you get your Spirit Pack for free. So yeah, they get a new uniform every single year. And I also have like a special lawn sleeve blue one. I have our school colors are white, navy blue, and like gray. So with that said, I have a really cool black uniform like everybody else does, because it doesn't make any sense. I have really cool uniforms that, how about this? I know we're like already like an hour and something into this. So if there's a dual meet and it comes down to the 4x4, which is the best dual meet in my opinion, because the 4x4 is the greatest. And in a high school event, you're going to have, it's us in Mission Viejo High School, and they never could beat us in the 4x4, which is great. We'll have 150 boys, 150 girls just on Trabuco. So there's like 300 kids wearing blue. They're going to run back and forth, and you're going to see a sea of people going from the backstretch of the 100 all the way to the front to cheer for them for the handoff and going back and forth. It's an event. The kids will pull out these like big flags that they have for ASB rallies and for football games, and they'll have those things streaming back and forth. It is no joke. But the kids that are running it, I kid you not, I've walked up to them and said, hey guys, we're losing by 4. It comes down to this. We need those 5 points. Here's black uniforms. And they're like, oh, and I guarantee you I got a second faster out of each of those kids just because I decided to give them something that was special. And then I'm like, give it back. Nope, give it back. You have to wait till state, and then, so I keep those, but I've accumulated those as time has gone on.
Right. I was going to share with you what we do, because it takes a long time to get smart in this profession. We wear black uniforms because they don't get dirty. Yeah. And we give kids we also wear black sweats. And for $70, our sweats, I think, Under Armour, I think the tag says $118, but we give them for about 70, or no, we give them for 80, but we charge our kids 70. So for $70, they get a uniform and their sweats, and I never have to recollect them. I just give them away. Now, if they lose them or outgrow them, then they have to buy one the next year. But their uniform's free and their sweats they buy. And it's the greatest thing in the world, because I don't know about you, but the worst thing about our job is collecting gear.
I don't do it. No way.
Oh, coaches here do. And then they have to store it like in their garage. It takes up an entire half of their garage. It's awful. But we also, because we have to have a little bit more money, we don't make anything off of our meets. We do a 5K road race during the season where we pull in about $7,000, and it's a really good community statement. And with that money, we will buy fancy stuff, stuff that we wear at the state meet. Like if we're running the state finals, we'll break out the superhero uniforms and things like that. But I think those little things are just essential to creating that buzz about your program.
Yeah. Oh man, the freshmen are already talking about the day they get to wear that black uniform. That matters. And it just stinks when you see these other schools that have like really, really good athletes year after year, and Nike sponsors them, and they get like the really, really cool uniforms. Well, people are like, hey, does Nike sponsor you? Like, you mean I get to pay them a crazy amount of money for no reason? Yes, I do. I think I talked to my athletes. We're going to try to go Jordan brand next year. We'll be the first track team with Jordan brand. Hey man, if the kids think it's cool, you got to go for it. And if the kids don't think Asics is cool, they're not going to run or wear it or think it's cool. My kids think Nike's cool and they think black is cool. So I'm going to try to stay ahead of the game and stay up with the trends, because I'll wear or I'll get whatever they think is good, and I'll make it happen.
What's Jordan brand? Is that a part of Nike?
Oh, they've gone separate now. So Jordan is still part of Nike, but now he's his own brand. And so a lot of football schools, UCLA just got it today or yesterday. That's a big deal because UCLA sucks and they have all these worse stuff. So tired of seeing USC everything. So, but they're Jordan brand. I think North Carolina is definitely Jordan brand. There's a few other schools, right?
It looks really odd to see the Jordan logo on a football uniform.
Yep. It's cool. It's going to be on track uniforms in Southern California pretty soon.
Huh. I guess I got to keep up on the news here.
Well, you're not a head coach, so you don't have to worry about these things.
That's right. I don't have to just show up.
I was kind of interested. You're on Facebook, Twitter, and Insta. I love that you said the Facebook's for the parents.
Yeah. The
Twitter's for coaches.
Uh-huh.
And Insta's for the kids. Is that?
Yeah. Well, and I'm not on Facebook or Instagram. That's my assistant coach that's 22. Because honestly, Twitter's fun because this is how I connect with people and learn and grow. And I can go on the feed, but I don't have time or energy to do Instagram, I don't want to be a dad that's sitting there on Instagram, flipping through the thing while my kids are asking me to play football in the street with them. I just refuse to be that. So I delegated it out. I said, hey, you're really good at Instagram. You're 21 years old. This is all you've ever known. So here, you do Twitter. Now, with Instagram, that kid that's an assistant coach for me, his official title is Director of Quality Control. He does no coaching. He just is in charge of media, marketing, whatever. Anything that in facilities. By the way, he does my hurdle crew. Oh, it's great. Hiring a person to do hurdle crew is the best thing I've ever done. He manages it all, and he has to tell me what he's posting. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Because the last thing I want is some rogue 21-year-old talking about Joe Biden. I'm like, oh no, it's track only. So use your other account, So and Facebook, he also does Facebook. Again, Facebook, no, I don't know about it as for you. Nobody that's in high school in our area does Facebook. Nobody. So when you talk about Facebook being so big, they're like, no, it's not. It's TikTok. I'm like, it's not TikTok.
Yeah, I love when you post stuff of your own kids that are they're little kids. And
yeah.
And can you speak to the fact that the Feed the Cats approach not only works pretty well with high school kids, but it's even better with like youth physical fitness. They love being timed and racing, and whereas like I always thought of running as punishment all through my, like all through my childhood. Running was something you had to do when you did something wrong.
So I was prepared to answer, like you're going to say, hey, what's your favorite workout? And I don't know the answer to that, but there's nights where I'm so excited the night before. I don't sleep well because we're going to measure it. It being a flying 10, flying 30, 40-yard dash. I like flying hundreds on some of those rare days once a month. 23-second drill. You're measuring something. There's weight to it. So with that said, I have a 7-year-old, 2 9-year-olds, boy and girl, and then I have an 11-year-old. And they train 3 days a week because there's nothing else out here. And they're all getting faster and they're having the time of their lives and they're doing it with their friends. And I put the free lap cones on and they all have chips. And like, I make them chase each other. I want to run against my buddy, or I want to get chased by the high school kid. My 7-year-old's like, I want that kid to get me. I'm like, okay. So I gave him a head start and I said, you better run. And the kid caught him, but then my 7-year-old ran the best time of his life. And he's like, I PR'd, and so my 7-year-old knows what the word PR, that means.
Does your 7-year-old know what his time is? I mean, like, when
yeah.
he hears the time, he can like celebrate because he knows what his best time used to be.
I write them all down. They're on the website. They're public. I put together trends and things. And at the dinner table, we go, hey, Zeke, my son Zeke, I'm like, he PR'd today. We're like, yes, good job. We're all freaking out. We'll do I'll tell you what, you think the gauntlet is fun in high school? Do the gauntlet with boys and girls between the ages of 8 and 12. They lose their minds. It is the most joyful thing when somebody PRs and everyone's freaking out. So yeah, Feed the Cats. We train for an hour, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We do acceleration stuff on Monday. Wednesday we do short flies. Friday we do longer flies, like a 30. And we measure all of them. They train hard. My 7-year-olds, all of them are PRing, and it works with them really well. And yep. And we're seeing these kids improve. I'm seeing my kids become not just great runners, good athletes. Like I want them to be able to be balanced, have good coordination. I want them to be not just fast, but I want them to enjoy the art of sprinting, because sprinting fast, running fast is fun. And I want them to enjoy it. Yeah, I have them do bounds, and I have them do plyometrics, and I have them roll on the ground. And Jeremy Fisher on Twitter, the stuff that he does with his kids. Oh my God, I would pay a fortune for a guy like that in my area to hang with my kids. And
we're going to bring, we've got to have him speak at TFC, don't you think?
I think he's brilliant. The stuff that he does with kids is not being done anywhere. And what's happening is we're putting kids in baseball when they're 5, and we're saying that's all you can do until you're playing for the Angels. It's like, no, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
So I want my kids to do everything. And I mean, I'm 5'9", a solid 170 of chiseled mass, but my kids are not going to be, 6 foot. Well, one of them might be, he's a beast, but the other ones are not going to be big kids. But I made PVC pipes and I made hurdles at their height. They're hurdling, they're 3-stepping. We're just having fun and experimenting with different things. And you know what? If it will work for a 7-year-old, it will work for an 18-year-old. So I'm experimenting, I'm having fun with it too. And the kids are having fun. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, not only that, but the thing about Feed the Cat or any kind of sprint training is that you want to make sure you have a good break between sets and reps, and you don't want to just keep throwing them. Well, little kids can't sit by because they'll pick up a stick or a rock and they'll throw it at somebody. So their break is shorter. but their engine never stops. That's the fun thing about little kids, is that just keep them going. Next up, let's go. Put a chip on. Let's go. Put a chip on. Next one. And you write them down. The kids cheer when there's a PR. And then we all do, obstacle course afterwards. And we do bounds and all kinds of good stuff.
Someone said they just Googled your track and you have really good exchange zones. So I'm looking that up right now.
Hey, okay, let's talk about it. I designed the track. So they redid the track 4 years ago. The guy that was in charge of the track at the district level, I was like, hey man, can we talk about exchange zones, marks on the track, what the hurdle should look like, 4x2, all this stuff? He goes, no, it's not your decision. I'm like, okay. I go, hey, you want to go get some beers? Talk about track? He goes, okay. Because he knew nothing. After 3 beers, he's like, what color do you want it, man? And so
Were you Newcastle?
so I made them blue exchange zones with a gray track. I actually wanted the reverse. It was no extra money from the company to do this. It's just the color that they brought, And so, man, I got fun stuff. On the inside of the track, every 10 meters, there's a little dash. So flying 30s don't have to measure them anymore. They're already measured for me. So I have,
Look at that.
I have 4x2 unstaggered. I have the hurdle zones, the colors I redid. I don't have triangles. I have all rectangles because telling a dad that's doing hurdle crew to put the hurdle down, he's like, at the beginning of the triangle or at the back of the triangle? Well, I've made them rectangles so you can put them straight on them. Idiot proof. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that track, and it's a good track. I'm so happy. It needs to get a paint job. By the way, have you two seen the guy? Is one guy that does it, the guy that paints tracks?
No.
Okay. This guy there's a documentary that needs to be made about him. Every track that is being resurfaced or being redone, this guy travels the country with 2 guys. He's got a trailer of all his paint stuff. He does it freehand. He walks everything. He walks the turn. It's not measured. He just does it. He puts marks down and then he goes from point A to point B on a turn and it's perfect. He literally is like this rare, like unbelievable, like talent. And I was watching him do it. And I was like, I sat up in the stands and just watched him for 3 hours. And he just went lane 1, lane 2. He walked over and says, hey, you don't have enough track. Lane 9 is going to be a little shorter. I'm like, okay, no, my kids are in lane 9. I'm not happy anyway. So let's go. It's pretty amazing the way the guy does it.
It's a pretty good idea.
Let's end things with a funky question about book recommendations.
Book recommendations? Oh my gosh. I already gave you How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep.
Chop Wood, Carry Water. My entire team does leadership training through that book, chapter by chapter, 10 weeks. Underground Secrets, told you about that one. What's a good book I just read?
You mentioned one in your presentation.
I did?
Yeah. No, it was Kula today that said 3D coaching.
Oh, yeah.
I get my presentations mixed up. I've been watching so many of them.
I read a lot. I like reading a lot.
Do you read any on-track stuff?
Oh yeah. I have a lot. I'm a Christian, so I have like 1,000 Christian books over here. But I also, before I go to bed, I read stupid books like Maze Runner. In fact, if the kids are reading it in my class, I try to read it too. So Hunger Games. And last year I read all the Harry Potters and that became a nerd. It was super fun. The only recommendation I can give you is you should read before bed, and it should be something you enjoy. You know what? Limitless. That's a book that I just picked up, and it's blowing my mind. I got a hard copy somewhere. Limitless by Quick is the guy's name, Kwick. It's all about the way the brain works. It's fascinating. I mean, it's just fascinating. So there it is, Limitless.
What are you reading right now, Chris?
Abe.
Abe?
Abe.
As in Lincoln?
Yeah, it's a contextual book that looks at the times that Lincoln was brought up in and what the culture was like to give him the ideas that he had?
And it's good.
Sorry.
That's cool.
I just finished Vicksburg. That was pretty good. And I finished The Ascent of Money. That's really good. Ascent of Money is the history of money.
I'm reading Richard Feynman's autobiography.
It's on my list. It's supposed to be really good.
Actually, Bobby Stroop said it was a great book, and he's one of our speakers. And so I quote Feynman all the time on Twitter because there's a Feynman account. He's been long dead, but
Yeah.
But he is so quotable, and almost all of his quotes about science could be plugged into coaching. Like not being afraid to try stuff, question stuff. Like all the stuff he says is just brilliant.
What's the name of the book again?
The Autobiography of Richard Feynman.
Richard
Feneyman. It looks like Feynman.
Oh, some hipster. Okay, Richard Feynman.
Yeah, he's a former scientist and teacher, but his autobiography is just, I'm really early into it, but it's just interests me. He just seems like an interesting guy.
There's another book that is probably my favorite book on leadership. It's by a guy named Carson Pugh, P-U-E. It's called Mentoring Leaders.
I love the one thing. I keep trying to end this thing, but there's always more stuff. I love the thing you said in your presentation about visionary leaders.
Yeah.
Now, what I love about it is they're unhappy. They're unhappy with the way things are, and they want to, borrowing from Buckminster Fuller, another scientist, they want to build a new model to replace the existing model. And I just love that a lot of people think leadership is just getting people to like you, but it's not. It's somebody that's kind of like pretty damn pissed off about the way things are going, or just think there's a better way of doing things. And those are really the inspired leaders. Would you agree with that?
100%. I mean, how can you lead someone that if you yourself are complacent and content the way things are?
That's right. If you're a status quo guy, and I don't think coaches should be status quo. And I think I'm talking with two different rebels right now that are both constantly reinventing themselves and trying to build a better new model.
Well, and that's the fun about our sport too, is that it's never done. I mean, this is our hobby and this is our passion. This isn't just something we get to do and earn a paycheck, right? I mean, this isn't 9 to 5 for us. We get to do a job that's going to influence people, and we get to do it in a meaningful way, and we get to have fun in the process. So what's fun? I mean, sprinting and getting kids fast is fun. Watching them excel and do something they'll never really should have ever been doing. Watching a kid that should not have been fast and they do something extraordinary, like that's fun. So yeah, I think, I'm sure my AD would disagree, but I push them pretty hard, and I have to be real smart as a leader to know who my audience is at all times. Like me constantly berating my AD because not everyone's going to move as fast as I do. And I have to be cognizant of that and be aware of that, and also have to slow down and be smart.
That's great. Great place to end it. JT, you're the best, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Hey, it was really fun hanging out with you guys. Next time in a bar somewhere in Chicago.